Hey guys, and welcome to another episode of Pronage Part Guides. Totally not a take on PC Part Picker, am I right? I'll keep this one short, because who the heck wants to sit through 6 minutes of a random dude on the internet talk? Oh wait. For this video and videos onwards, I'll be adding a synopsis, or overall description of the build along with a link to the part list. To put it simply, this build is an HTPC build made to accompany a TV. It comes packed with an i3 4160 dual-core, along with 4 gigs of 1600 RAM, expandable to 8 gigabytes, and a 1TB HDD plus a 120 gigabyte SSD for fast booting and fast opening of files. The build should be able to efficiently web browse and stream movies and perhaps games if you have the system to stream from. It also features all the things you would expect from a normal PC. Along with the small form factor, the build comes to around $300. If you're experienced enough, you can switch around a few parts and make it a bit cheaper. Now for the long part. For the CPU, I chose the i3 4160 because it was the cheapest i3 I could find at the time. As for choosing the i3 is generally perfect for living room use, capable of rendering videos in 1080-60 or perhaps more, which is the usual resolution for most monitors. The i3 also has enough processing power to stream games if you choose to. For the motherboard, I chose the ECS H81H3 Thin Mini ITX motherboard. Be careful with this one, for the brand isn't too popular and thus there isn't a viable way to tell if the motherboard is good, but it should be fine. As for the specs, you can expand its RAM to 8 gigabytes if you so desire. But why would you want to do that? You can just download more RAMs anyway. Now for the RAM, we're going with the crucial DDR3 1600 4GB memory. For basic HTPC uses, you generally don't need to use more than 4 gigabytes of RAM, since web browsing and streaming almost always use less than 4 gigabytes of RAM, unless you have a thing for Chrome tags, that is. Man, those things eat up RAM like a boss. For our graphics card, we have integrated. Yes, you heard me correctly, we have integrated. Yeah, you know, the really crappy graphics processor that somehow takes up half the die of your Intel processor? Yeah, that thing. For our storage, we went with the SanDisk SSD Plus 120GB SSD and Hitachi Desktop 1TB 7200 HDD. The reason why I went with the SSD was so that you can boot up and relax really quickly instead of having to wait a minute just for the darn PC to boot up and then have to wait an extra minute just to get it warmed up. I also included an HDD for storage of large files such as those movies you got from the Pirate Bay because you were bored one night. For our case, I went with the CoreMaster Elite 120 Advanced Mini ITX Tower. The big advantage to this case is it's frickin' small as heck. I mean, seriously, my friend could pick that thing up, even with all the parts inside. It can also fit very easily into a cabinet under the TV or on the tabletop that the TV is standing on. It's also real cheap, as one would say, it's an offer you can't refuse. For the power supply, we went with the EVGA 430W 80 plus ATX PSU. I pretty much include this PSU into all my builds. It's because it's one of the best for the price, and it's always on sale. But really, there's nothing special about this PSU, other than the fact the system is only really using half of its power, and can be overclocked and outfitted with a decent graphics card instead of a crappy integrated. This build